So, the COP30 Climate Summit in Belém has wrapped up, and while you might be seeing some pretty mixed headlines, there's a really powerful shift happening just beneath the surface, one that every single business leader needs to get their head around. Today, we're going to break down the 5 biggest takeaways from the summit and what they actually mean for you and your business.
All right, let's just get right into it. The big one, the headline that got everybody talking. The final agreement, known as the Global Mutirao Decision, did call for stronger national emissions targets, but, and this is a big but, it completely left out any specific language about phasing down fossil fuels. So yeah, a lot of people walked away feeling pretty disappointed.
And that leads us to the million-dollar question, right? Was COP30 a total failure? It seems like a simple question, but the answer is anything but. And honestly, if you're only looking at those headlines, you are missing the real story.
See, the real story isn't about what got left out of a document. It's about this fundamental, pragmatic shift from just making commitments to actually delivering on them. And it comes with a brand new, sharp focus on commercial value and staying competitive. Which brings us perfectly to our first major takeaway, this massive shift to implementation. The whole vibe at Belem was different this time. It was way less about making high-level, ambitious promises and so much more about practical roadmaps, clear guidance, and turning those big ideas into real, measurable results.
So what's that actually look like for a business? Well, it means finding real, tangible value in going green. We're talking about practical steps, like figuring out how to decarbonize industrial heat or transitioning your entire vehicle fleet over to electric. But here's the kicker. These aren't just feel-good climate actions anymore. They are smart business strategies that cut your operating costs, shield you from crazy energy prices, and seriously boost your brand's reputation.
Now, this whole push for implementation slams right into our second takeaway, this enormous challenge with energy supply and demand. We desperately need more clean energy than ever before, but at the exact same time, global demand for power is just absolutely exploding.
And here's a stat that just perfectly captures the scale of this problem. Thanks to things like AI and just mass electrification in general, the global demand for power from data centers alone is on track to more than double by 2030. Our energy systems right now are already creaking under the strain, which puts unbelievable pressure on grids all over the world.
But here's the good news. COP30 saw this rush of new initiatives to tackle this head-on. You had 23 countries sign on to the Belem 4X pledge, which is all about quadrupling sustainable fuels like biofuels and hydrogen. We also saw the launch of a $12 billion initiative just to strengthen Southeast Asia's power grid. And get this, the Utilities for Net Zero Alliance announced plans to pour over $1 trillion into renewables, grids, and storage by 2030. So things are happening.
Of course, all of that action needs money, which leads us straight to takeaway number 3. There is a huge momentum shift happening in climate finance, and it's creating some really significant new opportunities. The big number you need to know is $1.3 trillion. That's the target for the new Baku to Belem roadmap, which is designed to mobilize a ton of climate finance for developing countries by 2035. This is just a massive signal to the entire market.
But now, take a look at this chart. Right now, only about 22% of that money comes from private sources. So the message from COP30 couldn't be clearer. The private sector is facing a ton of pressure, and frankly, a massive opportunity to step up and contribute way more. Especially for what's called climate adaptation, which are basically projects to help communities adjust to the real-world effects of climate change.
And these opportunities are getting really specific. For instance, a new forest finance roadmap was endorsed to close an annual $66.8 billion funding gap just for protecting and restoring tropical forests. This is exactly where things like high-integrity carbon markets and nature-based solutions, think reforestation, suddenly become incredibly important tools for business.
Now, this transition isn't just about tech and money. There's a reason a lot of people started calling COP30 the People's COP. And that brings us to takeaway 4, the absolutely central role of a just transition. The summit made it clearer than ever that you just can't separate climate action from social progress.
This one line from the Belem Declaration really just captures the whole spirit of the summit. It's all about reframing climate change as a core social issue. The focus is now squarely on human-centered action that takes on hunger, poverty, and the impacts on the world's most vulnerable people. And for businesses, that means you have to start weaving people, equity, and your workforce directly into your transition plans.
And listen, this was not just talk. We saw a record-breaking, indigenous-led climate march demanding stronger action.
The Belem Declaration itself got endorsed by 43 countries plus the EU, and a new global initiative on jobs and skills was launched to make sure that this new green economy is an inclusive one for everybody.
And for our final takeaway, let's talk about a technology that perfectly captures both the challenges and the opportunities we've been discussing: artificial intelligence. It's a huge part of the problem, and it's also a huge part of the solution. You've got to understand this duality when it comes to AI. On the one hand, yes, it is a major reason for that surging demand for power we talked about earlier. But on the other hand, it is also one of the most powerful tools we have for unlocking climate benefits and driving efficiency on a scale we've just never seen before.
So what does that really mean in practice? It means AI can be used to optimize energy use across entire systems. It can model clear, actionable pathways to net zero for even the most complex industries. And it can pinpoint exactly where to make climate resilience upgrades for the most vulnerable communities or facilities. Going forward, AI has to be a core part of your climate strategy. It's not optional anymore.
So, to wrap it all up, if there is one single trend you take away from COP30, let it be this. We are way past the point of just making high-level commitments. The focus has decisively, completely shifted to pragmatic, business-led delivery that creates both climate progress and commercial value.
And that really just leaves us with this one final thought. As the world starts looking ahead to COP31, the big question is no longer what needs to be done. We know what needs to be done. The question now is, how is it all going to get delivered? And with this new focus on implementation and real-world solutions, are businesses truly ready to step up and lead the way?